Whenever we feel guilty, it just means that we are not approaching this card in a mature way. There is a whole technology which removes that guilt from you. I just want to tell you there is hope. I made it. It means many of you can make it as well. Guilt brings you down, brings down your spirit. It just paralyzes you. Any kind of garbage which I have in my head, I want to put on pen and paper and just see what's in there and then see what can I do about it. There is the difference in creating the happy world and dealing with the reality. When you realize that aha moment, aha experience, what happened is that you were confused. So when you're confused, it means your system of your previous beliefs is perplexed. Judgment card is about that transformation and enlightenment. You don't need to forgive anyone because initially you don't have to blame anyone. So which kind of questions we can ask ourselves in order to establish those qualities of fair judgment and clear seeing the situation, dealing with this world in a correct way and not just hiding from this world? Which kind of questions can help us to instill those qualities within us in a mature, beautiful, benevolent way? So I prepared for you those questions in here. Are there situations or areas of my life where I still feel guilty? So one of the blockage positions of this card, the card Judgment, it's that feeling of guilt. So whenever we feel guilty, it just means that we are not approaching this card in a mature way. So we want to remove that parasite of guilt, right? So if yes, and there are such situations and areas, which are the situations and areas? And how can I remove that parasite of guilt out of me? Which kind of tools can I use for that? Now, let me share with you the story. So when I moved out of my family, I had tremendous guilt which was imposed on me by my family. And I literally felt it on the solar plexus level. My grandmom was laying down on the deathbed, and my mom told me, if you leave, you will be leaving your grandmom here, and what will be when you go out, she will be really missing you. But my grandmom was having the tremendously late stage of cancer in her spine, and nothing actually already could help her at that moment. And I had a one-time opportunity to go to Moscow at that moment and just chase that opportunity of work and see if I can actually bring myself out of the reality where I was stuck in the city of Siberia. So it was a tremendously hard decision to do. But guess what happened? What happened is when I realized that that is kind of like a one-way street for me, a one-way opportunity, and that there may not be another way for me, it was like a tremendously torturous decision for me to do. And on top of this, my mom was continuously torturing me, saying, you are an ungrateful being, how can you go against the family? She tried to hide my passport. That's actually what happened at that moment. So having all that in mind and tremendous guilt in me, I still went and started pursuing my dreams. When I came to Moscow and I started doing what I was doing there, just looking for the right position for me there, it was a hard time actually, but on top of everything what happened with me there, my grandmom, of course, she died because the cancer stage was in a very, very late level and nothing already could help her. So I naturally started experiencing that guilt even more. And I kind of like was pursuing my dreams, but at the same time, I was blamed by my mom, by my whole family, and I was called like a selfish being who doesn't think about anyone in this life and only about herself. But on a deeper level, I knew if I would stay in Novosibirsk, nothing already could help my grandmom. And I knew also that if I stay there, I would just be visiting her last days of her life, and that is all. But I could lose that opportunity. And with that heavy sense, I still made that decision and flew with one-way ticket to my so-called perception of the dream life, to that one-way possibility for me to get out of the creation where I was at that moment, to get out of my childhood, to get out of the city where I was living all my life throughout all the 20 years. And I took that one chance, but I was burdened with tremendous amount of guilt within me. And it took me time to actually remove that guilt, because my mom continuously, in a masterful way, she didn't want to hurt me, but in a masterful way, she was using that sense of guilt, continuously blaming me. What had I done? you know? But finally, I managed to release it. There is a technology around it. But don't you think that from a logical perspective, that if you are connected to spirit, nothing in this world can use you and manipulate you through the sense of guilt? If it is coming from light and spirit, it's only when something is coming from attachment in the mind, it will use any kind of manipulations, putting you down, belittling you, saying you, how could you do that? Not supporting you completely and making you feel really like coming down to the knees of your creation again and again and again and saying what a bitch you are. Understand that these type of talks, these type of belittling talks behind your back are the talks of the mind. It's not about people who are doing that. It's about that mind where they get stuck into. So again, there is a whole technology which removes that guilt from you. It took me time, so there is a framework around it, and I will teach you in case if you would wanna just to express more interest in that. I already teach it in my courses, but at the same time, I just want to tell you there is hope. I made it. It means many of you can make it as well. So also, it's really important to investigate that sense of self-guilt within you, meaning are there situations or areas in my life where I still feel guilty? Guilt brings you down, brings down your spirit. It just paralyzes you. You cannot do already anything in this world. You are into that procrastination, depressive, continuous frustration mood. Literally putting yourself into that suicidal approach to life, not chasing your dreams. You are like in that limbo. So you want to remove that guilt. So, and if yes, you have that parasite, how can I remove that parasite of guilt out of my life? And you want to understand very clearly which tools you can use for that. So one of the tools which really helped me is that pen and paper. First of all, any kind of garbage which I have in my head, I want to put on pen and paper and just see what's in there. At least with this, I can regain some clarity and put myself back to that equanimity and then see what can I do about it, right? It's very easy thing. Now, question number 2. Do I create my happy world and hide in it from the outside world, or do I face the reality? Now, I know some couples here who are really amazing couples, but they don't want to deal with this world. They create their own happy worlds here. And I remember I've been talking to one woman and she said to me, Yulia, I just don't want to deal with this, all what's happening here. I create my world. I create my happy world. But I wanted to see, is it really what facing reality is? Because they had so much, I mean, from the perspective of influence and resources, but they create this small happy world. So much they can do, but so much they do. All right. So we want to understand and learn based on others' experiences. Each and every story here is a story either of warning or an example. So again, for us, from the perspective of just observance of this reality, if we see a powerful, influential beings here, we will think, oh, that much they do. But is that much they do with the resources they have? Or they can do so much more if they start really dealing with this world? That's a question. And when we see such stories, we want to look at ourselves. Which kind of resources currently we have? And do we really deal with the world, or we keep hiding from the world? So any kind of story, use as a learning experience. Okay? So do I create my happy world and hide in it today? Right? So called that positive approach. Or I really deal with the world, with the reality, with the problems of the world, and I use my effective communication with the world to actually help the world to go to the lighter side. That's another thing. Because when you deal with the world, guess what? You have to deal with the problems of this world. You have to help people. You have to serve them. You have to spread that love and kindness. Okay? So there is the difference in creating the happy world and dealing with the reality. Now, question number 3. What am I resisting at this time? Through that question, you kind of do that part of the shadow work within you. That's a self-cleanse process which may do continuously, because guess what? It's like that garbage bin in your house. And when we eat, do we accumulate garbage? Do you need to remove garbage regularly from the house? Otherwise, there will be rotting parts of food there, and there will be already not a really pleasant smell smell out of that garbage bin. So knowing this, we have to continuously cleanse. This attributes also to your physical body. This attributes to your emotional body. There is the emotional cleanse which you can do. Then this attributes also to your mental body, to your energetic body. There are different types of cleanses which you can do. So when you ask yourself this powerful question, like, is there something what I'm resisting in my life and what is it? You do that type of mental cleanse continual. Again, pen and paper. It's just part of that mental cleanse which you want to do with yourself. Which specific experiences in the past helps change your mind and evolve. That's the key word here. Evolve your views. What a powerful question. So it's not just about changing your mind. There are so many, you will tell me. But I want not just change my mind, but also evolve my mind. These two verbs which define those experiences. Because usually these are so-called aha moments, aha experiences. And you're just like, oh, and then you have to grow, you want it or not. Can you evolve within yourself, invoke in you such types of memories which were like breakthroughs? And remember that usually before that breakthrough, when you realize that aha moment, aha experience, what happened is that you were confused. So confusion is the first step to a breakthrough, okay? So when you're confused, it means you are perplexed. Your system of your previous beliefs is perplexed, and you want to go through that transformation again and again and again all the time. So judgment card is about that transformation and enlightenment and continuous cleanse within you. If you do that work again and again and again, guess what happens? You stay in the position of that all-seeing eye, angel of all creation, and you can stay in that equanimity. Don't really go into the left and the right. Don't augment the way of some object here and just think that that's the only thing which exists. Oh, it's my child. Yes, it's your child, but there are other children as well here. So why not to spread your kindness and love to others, whoever is coming to you, right? Or it's my house. Yes, but why not to, let's say, help another one to take care about their house? Let's say there is waste around. Remove some part of waste on, if you can. It is close to their backyard, whatever. Can you do it? Is it a simple step? Okay, so that possessiveness and my thing is removed. Then you cannot really envy others, because when you envy, you are not into that card. If you envy, you are approaching that card from the immature perspective. You are afraid of any kind of judgment. Oh, if I envy, then I will be judged by God, by the universe. I will have to pay the price. No, in fact, the realization of that card, you are released from your karma and you are released from any price to pay, because you are already enlightened. You went beyond all the external so-called karmas and internal karmas, whatever it is, all the gunas of this creation, all the powers of this creation. You are just serving the source and you see everything clearly. That's the pure enlightenment state to which you go, and you just do the necessary. You don't blame, you don't need to forgive anyone, because initially you don't have to blame anyone, and you really realize that once you go to that maturity level of that card.